Hey guys, this is Brent with Western Equipment. In this video, I'm going to be showing you all about the 2020 John Deere E160. Then I'll also hop on and give you a short demo and show you how to operate. So let's get started. Starting out, let's talk a little bit about model number. As we see here, we have the E160. So within John Deere's tractor style mower lineups, there's going to be three different series. There's going to be the E series, the S series, and the X series. So the E series is going to be the base or entry level model of John Deere tractor style mowers. Now, what you see next is going to be the 160. Within the E series, we have 9 different models ranging from the E100 all the way to the E180. So as you see here, we're at the E160, meaning that we're not all the way down at the base of the E100, but we're also not at the top spec model of the E180. So we're falling right here at the 160. So from here, guys, let's talk a little bit about the structure of this mower. So structure of this mower, let's talk about 3 things: the hood, the foot platform, and the frame. Starting with the hood here, this is going to be a plastic composite hood. So some of the good features and benefits of this is going to be you're going to have no rust, you're going to have no dents. You're also going to get away from some of that metal vibration, as when you're driving this thing, it is going to shake and rattle. But you're not going to have that clanking and banging around that you would have with the metal. Another great thing about this being plastic as opposed to metal is that when you're driving this mower, you're going along, you're cutting grass, it's hot outside, the engine's going to heat up, which is going to cause the hood to heat up. And also when you're driving into that wind, or you're having that wind come across you, you're going to feel the heat off of this engine. And with this plastic hood rather than metal, it's not going to get as hot, so you're not going to have as much heat blowing back on you. So just a couple of things to keep in mind when you're looking at this plastic hood here. Next, guys, our foot platform. This is going to be a metal stamped foot platform, so very sturdy, very well built. And then you're also going to have a fully welded single piece frame going from front to rear. So there's no bolts holding this frame together. It's all going to be welded pieces. So from here, guys, let's get underneath the hood and talk about the engine. So talking about the engine here, first thing that I would mention is when you first open the hood, you're going to see John Deere branded on this engine. But actually, if you look over here on the side, you'll see that this is a Briggs & Stratton engine. And also a good note, guys, is that within the E series, all the way from E100 to the E180, all the engines are going to be Briggs & Stratton. So if you're interested in looking into that Kawasaki engine, you're going to want to look into the S240, as that's where those Kawasaki engines are going to start in the John Deere lawn tractors. So like we said, guys, this is going to be the Briggs & Stratton Extended Life Series. Now, what this means is that this engine, starting here at the E160, is going to have the premium bearing package and also the chrome plated valve stems to allow for less wear and tear and for extending that life of this engine. Now, this is going to come in the E160 and also in the 170 and 180. So as you're moving up, like we talked about in that 100 series, you get up towards the top, the 160s to the 180s, you're getting into that more premium of the E series. So that's where the Extended Life Series engine comes into play. Now also, guys, this is going to be a 24 horsepower engine, so you're going to have plenty of horsepower push this mower, and also to push that bigger deck, as in the E160 you do have that 48-inch deck. So now, guys, let's talk a little bit about service points and service intervals. First off, right here, right under the hood, you're going to have your service interval chart, so you can easily reference this anytime you're needing to know, when am I going to need to change my oil, change my blades, all those different things. And also, guys, keep in mind that I've done videos over this E160 on a complete service, changing the blades and leveling the deck. So I'll put a link in the description below where you can check those out. And also, guys, if you're interested in getting those parts to do those things, we'll have another link in the description where you can go to get those. So now, talking about service points, first thing, guys, right here on top, we have our air filter cover. This is just going to be a couple of easy hand twisting bolts here. I'm just going to twist those loose, and then this cover will come off. You can get to your air filter very easily right there. Just pull that out by hand and change it. You just go back on with your cover, twist those down, make sure you get that sealed up tight. The next thing we'll talk about will be over here on the side. It's going to be our spark plug. Now, keep in mind, this is a V-twin engine, so you are going to have 2 spark plugs. You'll have one on this side and one on the corresponding side that we'll show in just a minute. Moving back, next thing we're going to have here is going to be our oil fill and dipstick. So we do have a dipstick here that is connected to that cap. That way it's easy to get to. It's also, like I said, where you would fill your oil. But keep in mind, guys, on this particular mower, the E160, we have a new oil change system, which is going to be the easy change oil system here. This is going to be the 30-second oil system, and I show more about this in that service video that I talked about listed below. But this is going to keep you from having to use that oil fill as all your oil change is going to happen right here. So if you're more interested in that, make sure to check out that other video. Moving on down, we've got our fuel filter, easy to get to there. And then, like I said, we also have our other spark plug here. Now, one other key service point that we need to keep in mind is we do have our battery, which is placed conveniently right behind the engine, easy to get to as well. So from here, guys, I'm going to hop in the operator station, show you all about it, and then give you that short demo. A couple of things I'd point out before getting into the operator station. For one is going to be the seat here. We've got a single piece 15-inch high back seat with lumbar support. Now, once you're moving up into that higher step in these E-Series mowers, you start to get that better seat. You start with a very low back seat in the E100s and 110s and slowly work your way up all the way to the E180 that actually is a two-piece seat that has that open back. It's going to allow for that airflow and allow for that water to drain out the back. But this E160 is going to be equipped with that high back 15-inch with the lumbar support, so very good seat there. Next thing I'd point out, guys, is as I'm getting on here is one of the questions we get asked is, which mower should I buy, the tractor style or the zero turn, based on how easy is it for me to get in. And one thing I would say is that, if you're somebody that maybe has a disability or you have issues with your mobility, the tractor style is going to be a great option for you, as you're not having to step over the front and onto that deck and reaching for something to hold on to. When you're over here on the side and you're getting in, you have the seat and the steering wheel here that you can hold on to make it easy for you to get into that mower. So that may just be something to keep in mind whenever you're going to make that decision, is how easy it is to get into these. So guys, from here in the operator station, we'll just start here on the left hand side, make our way across. Right here to my left, I do have the deck height adjustment lever. Now, this is all done by hand, but I would say that it is spring assisted, so it does make it easier to do that raise and lower. Also, John Deere has taken and they've turned this handle to sideways to give you a better grip on that, and also to get it out of your way when you're getting off or getting on the mower. So just an ergonomic feature there that's nice. This is going to have increments of 1/4 inch all the way from 4 inch down to 1 inch. So that is going to give you plenty of different cutting heights there to find what works best for you. So moving forward here, we do have our brake pedal. Now this is tied into our parking brake, which is right here. So to release that, you're going to push in and then push down on your lever, and that releases your parking brake. This is also going to act as a regular brake when you are driving the tractor. But when you go to set that parking brake back, you'll push it in and raise up on your lever, and that will put the tractor in park. Moving up here onto the dash, we do have a single lever choke and throttle right here. So to put this in choke, we're going to go all the way forward. That's going to choke, and then when we let off, that puts us back into the run position. And also you can adjust your throttle based on what you're doing with the tractor at that time. Right below here, we have our RIO button. This is going to be our rear implement option button. What this is used for is if you're having those situations where maybe you need to mow in reverse, or you just want to keep those blades turning while you're making your turnaround or backing up, you're going to need to engage this button and then go into reverse to keep those blades spinning. And I'll show a little bit more about that whenever we do the demo here in just a minute. Moving up here on top, we have our hour meter. This is going to give you hour meter, and it's also going to give you service reminders. So when you hit those different service intervals that we talked about under the hood, it's going to flash that symbol to let you know, hey, it's time to do one of those things. And then you can gauge based on how many hours what service that may need to be that lines up with your interval chart here. Moving over to the right, and before we start on this side, one thing I want to point out is right down here at your feet, you do have your fuel gauge, and then you also have this panel of information here that's going to have a lot of useful information. If you forget maybe what each of your things are here on the dash, you can reference that chart, and then also just know you have that fuel gauge right down there below that is a float fuel gauge that you can easily see, so you know how much fuel you have in the mower. So moving over here to the right, we have this yellow switch here. This is going to be our PTO engage. This is what's going to turn on our blades and turn them off, so you don't have that manual lever here. Everything's done electronically with this button. Moving back, we've got our 3-position ignition switch here. So what that means, we have a stop position. This is going to be our run position, and once the mower started, you can kick that back and turn those lights on. If maybe you're going to be mowing at night, or sun's starting to go down, you do have those lights that you can use there. Moving on down here, before we talk about our pedals, we'll talk a little bit about our cruise switch here. So this is going to function just like the cruise would on your car. Once you find the speed you want to go with your your twin pedals here. Once you find that speed, you can raise this up, and that'll actually engage that cruise function to where if you're making those long passes or those circles, you will be able to engage that to allow, relieve some of that fatigue off this leg whenever you're going to be pushing on those pedals all day long. So now that we've talked a little bit about the pedals, like I said, these are going to be our twin pedals here. We do have a forward and reverse. So you'll also notice that back here, we do not have a gear selector. So this is going to be a hydrostatic transmission. All of your driving functions are going to be done right here with forward and reverse and with your throttle. So there's no gears to select. You're not going to have to throw it in reverse over here on the side. Your reverse is right here at your foot for very easy operation. Now, last thing, guys, is over here on my right-hand side, we do have this storage cubby here. This is where we're going to have our spare key. Also, guys, with this mower, you're going to get your regular key, your spare key, and an operator manual. But you also have this nice storage cubby here that you can put that in. And then you also are going to have this cup holder right back here for whatever beverage you may prefer when you're on this mower. Now let's turn it on, see how it sounds, and give a quick demo on how to operate the machine. So first thing you're going to want to do is go ahead and mash that brake pedal over there on your left-hand side. We're going to raise our lever up, put it in the choke position. Start the mower up. So from right there, guys, that's going to be in full idle. So this is the speed you're going to want your engine at whenever you do have those blades going and you're going to cut. But I'll go ahead and lower this idle so you can just see how it sounds there at a very low idle. If you're just moving the mower around on your property, this is probably a fine speed. I'll go ahead and raise it back up here. And from here, we'll go ahead and we'll start the blades. Okay, so there's with the blades on. As you saw, all it took was for me to raise that button. So what I would do from here is go ahead and raise this up to where we're at full engine speed. Now, we talked about driving. We have the two pedals down here. So if I'm going forward, all it's going to take is just pushing that pedal forward. Now, if I go in reverse here, like I said, I have my blade spinning. So what I've got to do is I've got to push my RIO button. I'm going to hold that down until I get in a good descent here. Then I can let off. Okay, now if I were to go back forward and I tried to go in reverse without holding the button, you can hear it try to die out there. So you just have to remember that you've got to push that button there if you're going to mow in reverse. But like I said, guys, you saw right there just how easy it is to drive. All I have to do is push forward on the forward pedal or back on the reverse pedal, and that's all it takes. And then I also have my brake here on the side so I can stop myself from rolling. And that's all there is to it, guys. Very simple operation, very easy to do. Turn our blades on, forward and reverse. Make sure to remember our RIO button, and that's all it takes. So guys, from here, let's go around to the back and show you a few things back there. Starting out, one thing I forgot to mention while in the operator station is going to be on this seat is that it is an adjustable seat. So you do have this lever here that'll allow for that seat to slide, where you have up to 5.5 inches of slide forward or back. That way it will fit virtually any operator that needs to get in the seat. Now also, whenever you get underneath the seat here, one thing you'll notice is we do have this wire here and this switch. Now this is going to be your safety switch, seat switch that is hooked up to the seat that is going to tell it whether it has an operator in it or not. So if you're on the mower, you have it going, you have your blades on, and you try to get off, that switch is going to actually kill the tractor. That way it's for your safety. Now, if you're going along, you stop, you kill your blades, and also set your parking brake, then you can safely get off the seat and it will not kill the mower. So just know that if you're having issues with it starting, that may be something you need to check. Moving back, guys, a couple of things we have here is going to be our springs. This is going to be our suspension system for the seat. These are replaceable if they happen to wear out. You do just have a bolt down there in the center where you can replace those. We're also going to have right back here our cargo mount system. This is going to be the system that Deere implements to where you can hook up those things like that rear bagger or maybe that canopy system. They also have a couple of corresponding holes here at the front. That's all a part, like I said, of that cargo mount system. Now, right here in the middle, most importantly, is going to be our fuel tank. You have this big opening that allows you to get to these hoses to where you can service those if you need to. Also has a wide enough opening here at the front where if you do have that spillage, it will just go right down the rear, and not get all over the top here of your fender deck. When we open this up, it does have that tethered lid so you won't lose it. This is going to be an 1.75 inch opening. This is also going to be a 2.4 gallon tank. So you're going to have plenty of fuel when mowing whatever you need to with this mower. Now, moving down here at the rear, We're going to have a couple of things down here we need to mention is going to be our hitch hole here. This is going to be great for anything with that clevis style hitch. So things like maybe our yard carts, fertilizer spreaders, maybe mini sprayers to pull behind here. You can do that with this tractor as you do have that hitch. And then last but not least, we have right here, this is going to be very important, guys. This is our transmission disengage rod. So as we see here on our sticker, it shows that if we're pushed in like we are right now, we're able to drive the tractor. If it's pulled out like that, then we're able to push the tractor. Now, we know that you never want to have to push your tractor, but we know that there may be times where if you have issues, we're not able to start it, and maybe we're in a situation where we need to get it moved. Just remember that you can pull this rod to disengage that transmission and also let off that parking brake, and then you can push this tractor freely to get it to where it needs to go. So from here, guys, let's move around to the side and talk a little bit about the deck. So right here at the deck, guys, first thing I'd point out is that this is a 48-inch edge deck. This is going to be a 12-gauge steel deck here. Now, just like on every other E-Series model, in the E-Series, you only have one deck size per model. So here on the E160, the only deck size is going to be a 48. So if you were wanting to jump up to that 54-inch deck, you're going to want to look into the E180. And also if you want to jump down into a 42-inch deck, you need to look somewhere down in there in the E130 to E100 range, just depending on what features you want to make sure to get the deck size you want. So a little bit more here about the deck, guys. First off, since they're right here on top that we'd point out, is going to be these spindle covers. Now, on some of our X-Series models that we've shown before, those were easy flip-up spindle covers, having the grease zerk underneath, pointing outside where it's easy to flip up, get to it, and grease it. Now, on the E-Series, on the Edge system, they're all going to be hard-mounted spindle covers, and reason being is they're not only a cover, but they're also a belt guide. So you'll see these notches here on the side of these covers, and what that's going to be is there's going to be a metal insert on the inside of this that actually acts as a belt guide to keep that belt into the pulleys. Now, this is very important, as we do have customers often that'll come in, they'll have taken these off, they're going to change their belt underneath, they'll put the belt back on and go to start mowing without reinstalling these covers, and they'll instantly tear that new belt. So you have to keep these on. It's a little bit inconvenient, it's a little harder to clean underneath and harder to get to those grease zerks, but when you do have to go to grease these spindles, just keep in mind that they are actually pointed towards the inside of the deck. So on either side, whether we're looking over there, you can see that grease zerk pointing out towards the middle of the deck. This side over here is the same. It's pointing towards the inside to where you can get that grease gun around and get to those grease points. So a few other things about this deck, guys, is we are going to have 4 anti-scalping wheels. They are adjustable, so you're going to want to adjust those to whatever height you normally cut at to make sure that you're utilizing those to keep you from scalping your yard. Also, you're going to have this washout port on top. This is a great cleaning feature. You're just going to hook your water hose up here, get on a flat concrete surface, lower that deck all the way to the ground, turn that water hose on, start those blades, and that'll allow that to clean underneath that deck and to help with all that buildup. Also, guys, you can see here, we do have our belt system here. It's going to be very important that you're checking these belts, making sure they're in good shape. And in my video that I talked about before of changing those blades, you can see me actually take this deck loose, take it loose from the tractor. That's going to be a great time pulling that out, checking that, making sure everything is good. So make sure to reference that if you're looking into that belt. Now, also, guys, a couple of things we need to talk about while we're down here is 5 or actually 6 key grease points on this mower. You're actually going to have 3 here on the deck like we talked about. You're going to want to grease those spindles based on your service interval chart. Then you also have 3 more here at the front on your axle. So you're going to have 1 on each side and then 1 in the middle. It's going to be very important that we're keeping that greased, as the life of this front axle is huge. They do go ahead and make this front axle cast iron to increase that life, so you're not having that bend like you would in a normal steel axle. So they're helping you out. John Deere's helping you out there by doing that, but we got to make sure that we're keeping that greased. On the right hand side of the deck here, guys, a couple of things like we talked about on the other side. For one is going to be your hard mount spindle cover here. Just keep in mind that this one does act as a belt guide, just as your one does on the other side. So you've got to have this on when you're mowing. Also, guys, we have this very heavy discharge chute here that is spring loaded. So if you get a little close, you're mowing, you hit something, don't worry too much about it, as this is heavy and spring loaded and it will just flip up and go right back to where it's supposed to be. Also, we talked about having those anti-scalping wheels on all 4 corners. Just keep in mind that you want to make sure to adjust these into the same position as you do the ones on the other side, so you're ensuring that best cut quality. All right guys, to wrap it up, what a great mower. We've got those great features like the extended life 24 horsepower Briggs & Stratton engine, to the high back lumbar supported seat, the cruise control, the 48-inch deck, just all great features for that homeowner customer. And guys, if you need parts for this mower or any other John Deere mower, make sure to check out that link in the description below, as we would really appreciate your business. And guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope this video helped you out. If it did, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to give us a subscribe and show us some love. As always, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Boom.
Mo, let's go.